It's funny, when you dive into a sprawling epic fantasy, you're usually, like, bracing yourself for world-ending stakes, right?
Oh, totally. You're expecting dark magic, ancient prophecies, the whole 9 yards.
Right, kingdoms teetering on the brink of absolute ruin. The narrative just demands this certain level of reverence for the sheer gravity of the situation.
Yeah, everybody is taking everything very, very seriously.
Exactly. But then, right in the middle of a high-stakes, super dramatic siege, you look over at the cobblestone street and you see, like, a pigeon aggressively fighting a rat for a discarded, half-eaten French fry.
I love that. It just shatters the grand illusion completely.
It really does. You suddenly realize that while the chosen heroes are out there saving the realm, the local wildlife is entirely oblivious. They're just trying to score a free lunch.
Because, let's be real, nature simply does not care about your ancient prophecy.
Not even a little bit.
It cares about caloric intake. The fate of the realm is just entirely irrelevant to a bird that just spotted a shiny piece of foil in the gutter.
Yes. And listener, that exact contrast is why your request for today's custom deep dive totally caught our eye. I mean, you sent us this towering, wildly diverse stack of sources.
It was quite the reading list, honestly.
It was. We have this massive fantasy adventure novel, then a dense philosophical treatise on the New Sophia doctrine, and then on top of that, a printed Wikipedia page detailing Alexander Scriabin's unfinished 1903 symphony Mysterium.
Which, really suggests a listener with a very high tolerance for existential dread and, complex magical theory.
Oh, absolutely. Except your instructions for this deep dive were brilliantly subversive. You told us to take the dense philosophy and just throw it right out the window.
Just toss it.
Yep. You told us to entirely skip the symphony, too. Your mission for us was to focus 100% of our attention on the breakout stars of that fantasy story.
Which is such a fun angle.
Right. A chaotic, thieving, and frankly hilarious murder of crows named Jasper, Luna, and Felix.
Focusing entirely on the margins of the text. I love it. Because when you look closely at these three, they operate as these classic trickster archetypes, but they're stripped of any mythological grandeur.
Yeah. They aren't like magical familiars guiding the heroes.
Exactly. They are an independent, feathered crime syndicate operating purely on self-interest.
Okay, so let's introduce this syndicate because they are amazing. First up, there is Jasper. He's the bold, overly confident ringleader.
The brains of the operation. Or so he thinks.
Right. He operates as the intelligence broker. He's constantly flying in to announce he has tea, meaning local gossip, obviously, to spill.
I love that he calls it tea. It's so good.
It's perfect. Then we have Luna. Now, she is highly theatrical. She complains about everything, and she harbors this wild delusion of grandeur.
Oh, yeah. She dreams of adorning her black feathers with stolen emeralds and rubies. Very dramatic.
Very dramatic. And rounding out the crew is Felix. Poor sweet Felix. He's the anxious, pedantic one. He's terrified of breaking the rules, but constantly gets dragged into Jasper and Luna's chaos anyway.
What's fascinating here, though, is the author's choice not to anthropomorphize them into noble creatures.
Right, like they have human speech, right?
Yeah, they possess human-level speech and comprehension, but their motivations remain ruthlessly, biologically avian. They're literally just driven by shiny objects and sugar.
Okay, let's unpack this, because their first major grift perfectly establishes their operational playbook. They encounter this dragon named Smedley.
Right, and Smedley isn't your traditional gold-hoarding monster.
No, not at all. He actually runs a bakery for the local village. He uses his fire breath to run the ovens, which is just a great detail.
It's a very practical use of fire breath.
Exactly. So Smedley is taking a break outside, sees these three crows, and out of genuine, draconic kindness, he offers them some fresh pastries from his basket.
And of course, their immediate reaction to an act of pure charity is intense paranoid suspicion.
Oh, completely. Jasper actually calls the baker a wolf in sheep's clothing. He starts trying to calculate the dragon's hidden agenda.
Like he must be plotting something.
Right. And Luna goes a step further and flat out rejects the offer. She cites a strict "don't take candy from dragons" policy.
Which is generally good advice in a fantasy setting, to be fair.
Fair point. She accuses Smedley of trying to fatten them up to be the bakery's special of the day, but the moment Smedley steps back and the smell of warm sugar dough wafts over them,
their hardened criminal resolve completely evaporates, just gone.
Instantly gone. And they don't just accept the offered pastries, do they?
Oh, no. When Smedley turns his back to head inside, assuming the interaction is over, they swoop down and steal the entire basket.
The whole thing.
Yeah, and they fly off cackling. And then, by the very next morning, they have established a new daily routine. They're just swarming his windowsill and stealing fresh batches of pastries right out from under him.
It's so brazen. It escalates to the point where Smedley's baker friend Sam has to build a scarecrow outside the window just to run interference.
Which is humiliating for Dragon, frankly.
Honestly, yeah. They essentially broke a kindly dragon's heart for a sugar rush. But the bakery heist is basically amateur hour compared to what happens during the Seamstress Con.
Oh, the seamstress encounter is fantastic.
Yeah.
That is where we see their true manipulative capabilities in action.
Yeah, they transition from petty theft to active social engineering. It's wild.
Truly.
So they target a local seamstress named Emma. Jasper and Luna fly to her window and immediately launch into this incredibly dramatic, exaggerated sob story.
Right. They claim they are victims of the fickle fates, I think it was.
Yes. Spinning this tale of woe designed to extract maximum pity. Emma, however, is pretty perceptive. She sees right through the performance.
Yeah, she calls them out.
She does. She actually laughs and points out that for starving victims of fate, they look remarkably plump. She notes they seem to have been eating their feelings.
Which is, of course, a direct physical consequence of stealing entire baskets of pastries from a dragon the day before.
Exactly. But here is the kicker, right? Even though Emma knows they are running a game on her, she is so amused by the sheer audacity of talking birds trying to hustle her that she just plays along.
She respects the hustle.
She really does. She agrees to make them custom garments out of her scrap fabric. Luna, ever the diva, demands midnight blue and silver to match the night sky.
Very fashionable.
So fashionable. And this leads to my absolute favorite moment of pedantry in the entire book. Emma, making conversation while she sews, casually refers to them as a crow crowd.
Oh, no.
And Felix, anxious, rule-following Felix, completely forgets that they are supposed to be playing sympathetic, starving victims.
His pedantic nature just overrides his situational awareness.
Completely. He risks blowing their entire con by indignantly correcting her terminology. He insists that a group of crows must be addressed as a murder.
A murder of crows.
Right. And Jasper physically thumps Felix on the head with his wing for being a bird brain and nearly ruining the grift over a vocabulary lesson.
Which is such a funny image.
It is. Emma ignores the outburst and finishes the cloaks, which are, magnificent. So, reading this sequence, it's tempting to view them as a feathered Ocean's 11 crew. But I have to push back on that categorization a bit.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Well, are they actually criminal masterminds executing complex schemes, or are they just running on pure impulsive chaos and exploiting people's good nature?
That's a great question. And I would argue they are definitively not masterminds.
Okay, glad we agree.
Yeah, a mastermind plans 3 steps ahead. The crows operate entirely in the immediate present. If we connect this to the bigger picture of their behavior, they are supreme opportunists.
Right, it's all about what's in front of them right now.
Exactly. Their actual genius lies in reading the vulnerabilities of a specific target in real time. Like with Smedley, they exploited his trusting nature.
Yeah.
And with Emma, they realized her vulnerability was boredom, so they provided theatrical entertainment in exchange for goods. They weaponized the fact that humans constantly underestimate them.
Oh, that's such a good point. They use their birdness to their advantage. But relying on human amusement only gets you so far, Eventually, they realize that to get premium rewards, they have to transition from charity cases to independent contractors.
Right. They have to go tro.
Exactly. So Emma the seamstress is deeply distressed because her friend Peter has gone missing in the dangerous Whispering Woods. After outfitting the crows in their new cloaks, she pulls out a bag of shiny turquoise beads.
Ah, yes. The ultimate Corvid currency.
The holy grail for crows. She proposes a straightforward trade. The beads are theirs if they use their aerial advantage to find Peter.
And the sight of turquoise instantly shifts their operational model. They convene what they call the Crow Committee.
Which sounds so official.
It does. And it's a fascinating display of decentralized intelligence gathering. They actively recruit local sparrows and blackbirds, creating an expansive aerial spy network across the entire forest.
And their banter while tracking Peter is just incredible. They are piecing together clues on the forest floor, they find giant goose tracks, and Felix immediately panics. He warns the others to, and I quote, "Mind the honk or get the bonk."
Mind the honk or get the bonk. That's just great writing.
It really is. Later, they discover a trail of stale breadcrumbs. And Jasper, styling himself as the dealer of cold, hard facts, dismisses the crumbs as just a very disappointing lunch someone dropped.
Naturally.
But Luna vehemently disagrees. She argues that in these woods, breadcrumbs always imply sinister, fairy tale intent.
That debate highlights their internal dynamic perfectly, I think.
Yeah.
Jasper relies on literal interpretation, while Luna frames everything through a lens of dramatic narrative.
Yeah, she needs it to be a story.
Right.
Yeah.
Yet, despite their bickering over the literary implications of baked goods, their surveillance methodology is actually highly effective.
It is. They do eventually track Peter down to a secluded clearing. He is lying completely motionless on the ground. Jasper takes one look and immediately assumes the worst, that Peter is dead and the mission is a total bust.
Time to pack it up.
Right. But Felix, supposedly the most cowardly of the three, is so driven by the promise of those turquoise beads that he bravely hops down to the forest floor. He actually pecks Peter's boot just to verify his vital signs.
A very brave peck for a very anxious bird.
Very brave. And when Peter's foot twitches, verifying he is alive, the crows don't attempt to wake him up or offer comfort or anything.
Oh no, they immediately fly back to the village, screaming Emma's name in a chorus of caws, deliver the raw intelligence that he is alive but lost, and demand their payment.
They want those beads immediately, which makes me wonder about their underlying morality, when they find Peter or when they interact with Emma, do these birds actually care about the humans involved, or is this 100% a mercantile exchange for the turquoise beads?
It's a really interesting point, and it raises an important question about how we project human empathy onto animal characters. The text strongly suggests their loyalty is entirely transactional.
So no warm and fuzzy feelings.
I mean, they might possess a baseline fondness for Emma because she provided them with custom tailoring, but their actions are driven by the reward, not by altruism.
Right.
They are mercenaries. They provide a highly specialized service reconnaissance, but their loyalty has a strict, shiny price tag.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, because their mercenary work takes a massive step up in danger. Maria, Peter's wife, decides to hire this newly established Corvid detective agency.
She has a job for them.
A huge job. Her mission is significantly more perilous. She needs them to steal a crucial letter from a powerful witch named Faye.
Which is a huge jump. Going from stealing pastries from a friendly baker to robbing a dark magic practitioner is a severe escalation.
A massive escalation.
Faye is a formidable entity who has explicitly banished them from her territory in the past. The risk matrix here is just off the charts.
Totally off the charts. But the mechanics of the heist itself are a beautiful blend of clever strategy and absolute chaos. They fly to Faye's cottage. Jasper initiates a distraction protocol by throwing walnut shells at Faye's window.
A classic misdirection.
Exactly. The noise draws the witch away from her desk. Meanwhile, Luna locates a structural vulnerability, a hollow hole in a massive oak tree that has grown into the cottage's foundations.
Smart.
Jasper squeezes his little body through the crevice, hops onto the table, and the letter is right there. It should be a clean 15-second grab.
Should be. But this is where the biological imperative of the Corvid violently clashes with the discipline of the professional thief.
Oh my gosh, yes.
His executive function completely fails him.
It totally fails. He gets entirely mesmerized by a shiny gold bracelet sitting among Faye's magical artifacts. He literally pauses a high-stakes life-or-death heist, standing on the desk, actively debating whether he should abandon the client's letter and steal the heavy gold jewelry instead.
He's just frozen by the shiny object.
Frozen.
Yeah.
He only snaps out of this trance because he suddenly remembers the specific pastries Maria promised them as payment. So he grabs the letter and squeezes back out of the tree hole mere seconds before the witch turns back to the window.
An incredibly narrow escape. But, their primary vulnerability has always been the extraction phase.
Oh, without a doubt, because waiting for them in the open sky is Smedley the dragon.
Oh, Medley is back.
He is back, and he has been holding a massive burning grudge over his stolen breakfast basket. He spots them flying in formation, recognizes the goodnight blue cloaks, and transforms from a mild-mannered baker into a feral flying beast.
He is out for blood. Or, well, pastries.
He chases them relentlessly through the clouds.
And the author injects a brilliant comedic inversion here. Smedley is a massive, fire-breathing reptile bearing down on them, but instead of roaring about blood and vengeance, he is bellowing legalese.
Yes. He literally yells, "Cease and desist,"
Mhm.
midair. Smedley dives at them with serrated fangs and smoking nostrils. Jasper panics, fumbles his grip, and Smedley's claws snatch the witch's letter right out of Jasper's beak before it can tumble into the forest below.
So the extraction is a total failure.
A disaster.
They are forced to return to their client, Maria, entirely empty-handed.
Right.
And the ensuing conversation is a masterclass in aggressive crisis management and public relations spin.
It really is. Maria is devastated. And when she realizes they lost their critical intelligence to a local bakery dragon, she points out the sheer absurdity of the situation.
As one would.
Right. But the crows, rather than apologizing, immediately launch a coordinated defense. Felix claims they were victims of a violent mugging.
Deflecting blame.
Always. Luna goes a step further, insisting that they intentionally targeted the dragon because they always knew Smedley was an agent of dark power. She literally tells Maria, "It was our angle all along."
Which is incredible. They attempt to reframe their botched escape and history of petty bakery theft as a heroic, premeditated investigation into a vast, dark conspiracy.
It's so bold.
It is a classic Darby tactic. Deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. They gaslight the client to protect their own egos.
It is stunning to watch. Maria gets furious, naturally, pointing out that they broke into a witch's house and burgled it, which is a crime.
A literal crime.
Yes. And Felix and Luna immediately pivot to feigning absolute pearl-clutching innocence. They claim they couldn't possibly have read the letter anyway, deploying the ultimate airtight legal defense. What animal can read?
It's foolproof. Their absolute refusal to accept accountability is their defining characteristic. They will construct any narrative, no matter how contradictory, to avoid the consequences of their actions.
Whatever gets them off the hook.
Exactly. They even imply Maria is behaving irrationally for expecting birds to understand the contents of written correspondence, completely ignoring the fact that they actively negotiated a contract to steal it in the first place.
The audacity is just staggering. But their brazen lack of shame doesn't stop with client management. Later in the narrative, the plot requires them to spy on Faye the Witch again.
Which is a terrible idea.
A very terrible idea. Approaching her cottage is now incredibly dangerous. Jasper, acting as the tactical lead, comes up with what he believes is an infallible solution: disguises.
The structural absurdity of a bird putting on a disguise cannot be overstated.
Right. To execute this plan, they return to the alley behind Emma's tailor shop to dig through the discarded fabric scraps. Felix, whose anxiety is always simmering just below the surface, worries that taking the scraps constitutes stealing from Emma.
He's having a moral crisis.
He is, and Jasper immediately shuts down the moral debate by declaring that because the fabric is in the alley, it is public domain, so it is not stealing.
They essentially invent their own highly convenient legal framework to justify acquiring whatever resources they need at any given moment. It's public domain.
Public domain. They all start chanting public domain in unison just to drown out Felix's anxiety. It's hilarious. Using this trash, they somehow fashion actual costumes.
And the costumes are amazing.
Oh! They dress up as a chicken, a peacock, and a flower.
A flower.
A flower.
Sure.
They fly back into the enchanted forest in these ridiculous outfits, absolutely terrifying the local squirrels and chipmunks who have zero context for what manner of mutant creatures are invading their territory.
The visual comedy of three crows, clad in ragged scrap fabric, attempting to conduct stealth operations is brilliant. But what is truly remarkable is how their biological lack of focus constantly undercuts the author's own dramatic tension.
Oh, yeah. Like when the massive storm blows them off their flight path and they accidentally intercept Sir Edward and a group of armored knights traversing the gnarly forest.
It's a very serious group of knights.
Very serious. The knights are on this grim quest. Jasper decides to lean into the spooky atmosphere. He lands on a branch, puffs up his little disguise, and begins delivering this incredibly grave, ominous warning about the Phantom Queen and the dark magic seeping into the bark of the trees.
He's really chewing the scenery.
He is. He's setting a terrifying mood.
Attempting to participate in the epic fantasy narrative, painting a picture of absolute despair and impending doom.
And then, mid-doom speech, Jasper spots a bush out of the corner of his eye. He abruptly stops talking, yells, "Oh, berries!"
Yeah.
and completely abandons the spooky warning.
Just drops the act instantly.
Instantly, all three crows rush the bush, frantically gorging themselves on the fruit. They ruin the ominous vibe entirely and get red berry juice all over their carefully crafted disguises.
The grim knights are just left standing there in the mud, watching three birds in scrap fabric fight over a snack.
It's so funny.
It is a perfect illustration of their hierarchy of needs. Participating in the drama of the realm is an entertaining hobby, but securing fresh berries will instantaneously override any other directive.
Yes.
Maslow's hierarchy for crows places snacks at the absolute pinnacle.
It really does. And that theatricality reaches its absolute peak when one of the crows, still wearing the ragged, juice-stained chicken disguise, mind you, actually infiltrates the royal palace to deliver military news to King Helig.
A monarch receiving tactical battlefield updates from a talking piece of poultry.
It's surreal, and the crow leans into the absurdity. He tells the king that blending in with the local free-range hens was essential for his covert intelligence gathering.
He's really committing to the bit.
He really is. He then aggressively flatters the king, telling him he wears his wisdom so well he must be over 100 years old.
Which is a deeply backhanded compliment to deliver to a sitting monarch who is decidedly not a centenarian.
Not at all. The king calls him out on the insult, but is frankly too amused by the sheer weirdness of the encounter to order the bird executed.
Understandably so.
Meanwhile, the crow is intentionally dropping crumbs everywhere from his beak onto the immaculate royal floors. And after delivering this vital intelligence regarding the heroes and the fate of the entire kingdom, the crow casually looks up at the king of the realm and asks, "Say, what else is cooking in the kitchen?"
You know, if we connect this behavior to their overall survival strategy, it becomes clear that their greatest evolutionary advantage is their complete lack of shame.
Yeah, they have none.
Zero shame. Whether they are facing down a powerful dark witch, a fire-breathing dragon, or the sovereign king of the realm, their primary objective never wavers. It is always about securing the next meal or the next shiny object.
Absolutely.
They survive because they are entirely unburdened by the heavy philosophies, the New Sophia doctrine, or the epic destinies that crush the human characters in this story.
That is so true. So what does this all mean? Going back to the mission you, the listener, gave us at the top of the show. Sometimes being well-informed doesn't mean forcing yourself to understand the densest lore or the most complex philosophical magic systems a writer can invent.
Not at all.
Sometimes the most valuable takeaway from a massive, serious text is recognizing the function of the characters in the margins.
Yeah,
The crows exist to puncture the pretension of the epic fantasy genre.
exactly.
Amidst all the dark magic and existential dread of this world, Jasper, Luna, and Felix survive and thrive purely on audacity, teamwork, and an insatiable appetite for bakery goods.
They serve as a vital narrative pressure valve. They remind the reader that even in the darkest, most dire narratives, opportunistic joy still exists. They don't fight the darkness. They simply look for dropped crumbs within it.
I love that perspective. And we want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. At the very end of the story, there is a grand royal banquet celebrating the hero's hard-won victory. The king raises a glass to toast the crow's intelligence gathering, and the entire hall cheers for them.
A very nice moment.
It is. But the text notes a tiny detail. Amidst the applause, Luna veils her beak with a midnight blue wing and is seen conspiring and whispering with Jasper once again.
The grift never stops. The gears are always turning.
Always turning. What are they plotting next? Consider this. With the witch finally defeated by the heroes, Faye's cottage in the woods is now completely empty and unguarded.
Oh, that's a good point.
Did Jasper ever stop thinking about that shiny gold bracelet he had to leave behind on her desk?
Probably not.
Definitely not. I wouldn't put it past them to be actively planning the ultimate unopposed heist while casually eating the king's artisanal cheese. Listener, thank you so much for sending in such a fun, highly specific mission for this deep dive.
It was a blast.
It really was. You proved that sometimes the best way to understand a story is to just follow the crows. We will catch you on the next one.